Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's weekend offering, our Sunday edition of our show. With the broader market closed, we're not going to spend so much time looking at bonds and stocks and currencies and stuff, but probably concentrate primarily on crypto here today. Nice to see we have a relatively full lounge here of members participating in the call. So just an FYI to everybody, I put this out on YouTube and Twitter and all that. So we might actually have a few people that come in from the public to just sort of see what the heck do we do here. And I noticed that I don't know, the like, follow, subscribe, all those kind of things, they've all been going up quite a bit. So we do have actually, I'm quite surprised, really. We have quite a robust following, even on things like Twitter and stuff. I think we're up to like about, I don't know, what's the number here? 7,300 followers. So happy New Year's to, obviously our site members. I love interacting with you guys. It's so much fun. I got to tell you guys, and this would be just a good anecdote for the public. You guys don't understand. When I lost my wife, 6.5 years ago now, I really didn't have any reason, other than my beautiful son. No way I was going to leave him. But I didn't have any reason to be alive. And you people, Garrett, you shut up and take my money, Garrett. Kevin, Wayne, Zach. I mean, just guys that I see here. And I know there's a ton of people, the people in the lounge here, a ton of people, that'll watch this later on. You people have restored my faith in life. And I have to thank all of you for that. It's been a very mutually beneficial relationship here. You guys need to all understand it. I was on the brink. I was basically ready to check out. I'd basically lost faith in humanity. Somebody on the other side said, "No, Brian, you just got one more go. Let's see if we can change the world here." And actually, I'm really impressed with what's happened here on this site. Cool part about it, guys, especially site members here, is you're not even gonna recognize this place in a couple of weeks. Some of the crap that these guys are coming down with here, Sjord and Julian and a relatively new member of our team, but just showing that, man, this guy is just the shit, man. Michael, Jojo brought you guys into my life, so I have to say just a big thank you to all three of you, no doubt, and of course Maud. She's driving the bus. I don't know whether have you guys met Maud? Anybody of you guys in the lounge? Maud's. I think I posted a picture of Maud. She's Seward's recent baby. She's driving the bus here, right? But anyway, I have to be, super thankful. Big shout out, big, hugs and kisses to all three of these gentlemen. And you guys, you got to understand, man, holy crap, you don't know what you're about to get hit with. It's so cool. Oh my God! You think our funny little reporting of our algo here and our database? Oh my God, the stuff you guys get to play with in a week or two! Oh, it's so exciting! But anyway, we'll finish off 2017 with, of course, a big thank you to all of you and to everybody that's in my life. I really appreciate each and every one of you. PMA for the win. Because of that PMA for the win kind of attitude, it's such a pleasure. It's so much fun waking up in the morning and hanging out with you guys. So big thank you to that, right? We just have a lot of fun with what we do here. I want to give a big thank you to the Twitter audience, and I suppose even a thank you humbly for keeping me in line when I start getting insulting to the public. I learned there's one word I'm not allowed to use on Twitter anymore. So, in 2017, thank you for that reminder. But the feedback generally has been that we're doing really good work here. And I thank you for all of your interest in the public that you're seeing. And I hope that we give you enough free content that you feel as though your life is being bettered by knowing Brian. So on with our sort of analysis, but I wanted to just start off with just a big thank you and a big sort of we've been greatly rewarded here in 2017. Let's make 2018 even better. Can't wait for the future. Future so bright, gotta wear shades. All right, so where do we begin? The irony of it all is that good old we'll probably stick primarily to crypto in this conversation, but the crypto and Bitcoin in particular historically loves to top out into the end of the year. If we go back and look at previous year ends on Bitcoin, it's really not, it shouldn't be shocking if we actually see maybe we have to go through a couple months of sort of cleanup following the end of the year here. I do think, though, too, there are a lot of historical parallels going on here that we have to sort of keep in mind. There's one cute guy, and we've been trying to get him in on the Daily Brief because I was chatting with him, Jesse Couch. He's locally here in Vancouver. We had a great opportunity. I got to introduce a few of TRI people to Jesse at a recent decontrol session we had. And Shane, if I'm not mistaken, Shane's wants to drown me in a foam party tonight at a local New Year's party. So I have to get my act together for that tonight. But anyway, we had a lot of fun at a recent decontrol meeting, introducing you to Jesse. And if you do follow me on Twitter, and I mean, this isn't a sales pitch for you to do so, but if you do follow me on Twitter, he and I had a really interesting back and forth. Well, not really back and forth. He put out a comment, and then I just went like, oh, crap, and just jumped all over it. Sort of explaining what I think is going on here from a bigger sort of demographic and sort of cyclical point of view. And I don't see enough people in this space talk about these kind of big economic driving influences enough, which I really would like to see, because it does help understand. It helps you put recent and current price action into context. It makes sense if you can think about these bigger picture influencers. So Jesse was just started off by asking, what was the difference between sort of the .com boom and this recent crypto boom? And I would argue that the difference here is that the .com boom was at the apex of a demographic cycle that had a lot of earnings power, and they were hitting their peak earnings years into that 2000 event. So money flow wise, we saw a huge push into growth assets as the economy was hitting sort of its peak economic capacity, with all of the baby boomers hard at work into their peak earnings years, making tons of money. That money was being, of course, funneled into more growth. The problem with that, of course, is that that's not endless. And we live in a world of ebb and flow, and every economic cycle, the irony of economic cycles is that the ends of the cycles are actually very well engineered. They are created artificially. And since the creation of the US Federal Reserve system, and really one might argue since the end of this sort of fiat, or the beginning of the fiat days, thanks to Mr. Nixon, the Federal Reserve has been given sort of even more powers to just try and fix the economy based on inflation expectations. So if we understand demographic forces, then we should expect, of course, as the baby boomers are heading into their peak earnings years and the economy is hitting sort of its 10-year cycle time for a recession, and inflationary pressures are starting to pick up, at that cycle peak, we started to hear about Alan Greenspan wanting to raise short-term interest rates because he was worried about inflation. And in essence, the yield curve, which we at TRI follow religiously, inverted, suggesting that there was going to be an absolute guaranteed recession within the financial services industry. Hey, there you go. You heard that in echo. Probably a good idea if you are listening to this to throw yourself on mute. Somebody has their microphone on. Dun, dun, dun. Who is that? That's Chooks. Hello, Chooks. Whoop. Now somebody is no longer presenting. Oh, Chooks is really messing around with us here. I'm going to throw you on mute here, Chief. Boink. And I will go back to presenting to everyone. All right. Hopefully we're doing okay there now. Chooks. Yeah, there you go. Good job. Joshua, you're the man. Okay, where was I? Oh, so once upon a time, and the cool part about it is, it's not like you just make this crap up as you go along here. The irony of it all, and I love to go back to my 1980s website, so just bear with me here a moment because I got all these fun links just sitting here. The irony of it all is that we can actually see this whole concept of the inversion of the yield curve and the guaranteed recession in the financial services industry. This was just, this was right around that year 2000 dot-com boom. And in essence, the Federal Reserve Board being concerned about an economy getting too hot into Y2K. Everybody remembers Y2K. All the airplanes were going to fall out of the sky. And everybody went and bought a brand new computer. NASDAQ went to all-time highs, blah, 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 blah. And there was just no buying following that. Airplanes didn't fall from the sky. Everybody was like, oh, this technology was all just a big shill. And everybody just put their wallets away. So the irony of it all is that into that event, the Fed had actually absolutely guaranteed recession within the financial services industry. And you had this big catalyst, this purchasing catalyst. And on the other side of it, with an absolutely guaranteed recession in the financial services industry, the stock market had no choice but to break. So if we look at the George Bush years and this whole concept of, everybody in America should own a home, right? And of course, a lot of people that really had no business whatsoever taking out mortgages on their houses, took out mortgages on their houses with absolutely insane terms. Yeah, no interest in the first 6 months. Then after 6 months, it goes up to 527% annually compounded, blah, blah, blah. So people didn't read the fine print. First part of the mortgage term. A lot of the mortgages in this, it was so corrupt. A lot of the mortgages that did expire, when people tried to go back and refinance, the bank just said, no way, we're not gonna. So the point of the matter here is same thing, but if we obey the yield curve, then we actually knew ahead of time that the central bankers were getting ready to engineer a recession in the financial services industry, which was going to generate a correction, if you will, in the stock market, a recession in the stock market. Stock market gets whacked. So point of the matter here is, everybody's asking, okay, are we close to a top here yet? And if we look at the yield curve right now, I don't think we're there yet. Everybody should go, oh, phew. I think it's important, right? I think this is pretty important. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is demographically, what's going on here? Is the economy growing because a whole bunch of new workers are coming online? There's not that many old people weighing down the economy. Or is the economy growing because our central bankers have diluted the shit out of our currency and flooded the system with money? Which is it? I think the answer is pretty easy. The flood. That's right. And so we had, I don't know, we know that the baby boomers are still there and they're not going anywhere. And we know that they are now officially retired. And do you remember Wayne? Wayne says it could be both. Do you remember, Wayne, we had that, remember in the summertime we were chatting about Dr. Pippa? Anybody remember Dr. Pippa? Does anyone remember Casey? Didn't you really like Dr. Pippa? So Dr. Pippa, and frankly speaking, guys, I think the sad part about it is only after the fact are we going to be like, oh, duh. But she left off that conversation, and I even remember this because it really resonated with me. But she said, what does a world with, $18 trillion in liquidity What does that world look like? It isn't this world here. And so this is the problem with using like old peaks and cycles, saying, okay, well, the market's going to top here. But the problem is that the people that are running the show, they've changed the rules. And so, people are astounded by the stock market keep churning higher. But what you don't understand is that this is rigged, right? All our level oneers, remember we went through that? We're going to, hey, there's Shane. There's my foam bath guy. Jeez, I got to get my scuba gear. Anyway, I guess he didn't get the joke. What was I say? Oh, yeah. So I think it makes sense that the powers that be, because we live in a world of deficit spending, the economy must grow. It has no choice. It must grow, because if it doesn't, these deficits get absolutely out of control and the whole damn house of cards will collapse. How do you ensure, with a demographic backdrop that's heading into retirement, and really one might argue that they're probably now fully retired, maybe some of them are still part-time working, but they've probably sold off most of their assets that they're going to sell. How do you get that kind of world to grow? You dilute it. You just basically helicopter money. Remember, we used to talk about that all the time. That, if we understand the money multiplier effect, then what should happen is that for every dollar that's injected into the economy, it should generate $3 of economic activity. That's the only way also, earnings-wise, you can explain something like this, is people are getting ready for this economy to grow in earnest. Now, where is that growth going to come from? Is it going to grow? Is it going to come from diaper sales? Probably not. Is it going to come from, adult diapers? Maybe. All right, healthcare. I mean, you guys understand how this is going. Services for the baby boomers, all that kind of stuff. But does it make sense that cryptocurrency represents an area of growth? It is exactly what the central bankers need, and these politicians, they need us in a way. The economy isn't growing on its own because demographically it's like got the cards stacked against it. So it should make sense that on balance, the powers that be actually need this crypto space to grow, because it is an area of growth that can sort of keep us out of this deficit nightmare. So in a weird sort of way, one of the reasons why I think the U.S. Federal Reserve has kind of looked at crypto as, kind of like, oh, we're going to let this breathe a little, is because we're actually needed in this economy desperately. So that was just an interesting thing I've been thinking about the past few days. And I don't mean to, in an interesting way, we're actually really lucky here because this is the end of the year. People watching on YouTube, of course, site members, you'll be up the yin yang with this over the next couple of weeks. But YouTube, Twitter people, Google people, all that stuff. Go as a special project. Just go and Google the word January barometer. The term January barometer usually suggests that whatever happens the first couple weeks, well, really the first hour, the first day, the first week, the first month of the calendar year. And it's weird because it's kind of one of those Fibonacci kind of time sequence kind of things where it's sort of like a resonation. Think of like a puddle. That's the way I've tried to think about it through my career. And the waves of the puddle as it sort of moves out, think of them in like first hour, first day, first week, first month. Interestingly enough, it gives you a pretty good idea of what the calendar year is going to look like. So the reason why I mention that, of course, is, basically tomorrow is the first of the new year. And we're heading into January barometer reporting period. So this is actually extremely important next couple weeks ahead of us. I thought just side conversation wise, since we are talking about it, I don't know whether I have it on here or not. If we just, well, I don't want to take too much time. I'm sorry, I'm just blabbing away here. But if we just take just a moment and take a look at the way the last fear cycle ended, with what I would consider are sort of the last cycle's fear proxies, if you will, the gold and silver. I think there's a lot of interesting tells here. Problem is we got to go find it. And the good part about TradingView I like recently is that you can actually go back on the daily charts and go back and see this data, which I was a bit surprised years ago you couldn't do that. So I was really pleased by that. All right, so there is the last greed cycle pivot through 2000. You can clearly see the bottom. And I remember this, man. You couldn't give an ounce of gold away through this. There was a really bad scandal in the Canadian gold industry all through here that just destroyed the Canadian gold market. And it was almost like it was cliche, because it was like if you were going to try and paint a scenario to get the public to sell gold at an absolutely really low, ridiculous price, how do you do that? I know. Let's create an absolutely ridiculous scandal in the gold industry and screw the public so that they have absolutely no interest in owning gold ever again. And of course, that was the bottom. Isn't that an awful funny coincidence? Anyway, that's another conversation for another day. That's like George Soros kind of conversations in China. I watched him do that a year or two ago, and I was like, that son of a bitch. He totally played that market. All right, so the interesting thing is there's the same bottom in the silver market through that same period. But if we go back and look at the silver market back in, back in the last, where are we here? Fear cycle apex. Of course, this is, and I see we have Mr. Silver here himself, Mr. Da Vinci. I think this was one of his buddies here who was trying to corner the silver market up here. Isn't that the case, Mr. I own all the money in the world? Are you there? Where's that damn software you keep teasing us about? So, does anybody remember? And Dav, you're not allowed to answer. But does anybody remember why? What was the driving force? Why silver acted the way that it did through here? Anybody remember? That'd be a nice little YouTube. Let's see how many people we have over there. 51 people. Oh, hello, 51 people. So does anybody over on YouTube have any idea why the silver market went absolutely nuts here? How can we give you a hint? Ironically enough, it's almost like Winklevoss's too. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if there's a funny coincidence there. That's right, Center got it. Geez, I thought everybody knew this. Huh, isn't that interesting? Anyway, the talk through this period was basically inflation was out of control. Everybody had lost faith in the U.S. government after Richard Nixon, all that kind of stuff. Gerald Ford was a total lame duck. And, Carter was brought in, and of course with the Republican, anyway, politics aside, the sort of general belief was a lack of faith in the U.S. dollar currency, lack of faith in the U.S. government. U.S. just sounds kind of familiar. And there were a couple brothers on Wall Street that tried to corner the silver market, the Hunt brothers. Yeah, you can even Google it. It's an interesting historical study. I make the argument that there was a company in the photography business, Eastman Kodak, who eventually came out and said, you want silver? Okay, fine. You can have all the silver you want. And they had like literally mountains of silver stockpiled because that was a primary component in the photography industry. And that's what killed the bull. But, I know other people talk about conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. Right, Dav? Anyway, shake it. The point of the matter here was this was the whole war on inflation. Paul Volcker, double digits U.S. inflation. Baby boomers were entering the workforce. The economy was going absolutely nuts. The greatest generation was leaving the workforce, blah, 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 blah. The point of the matter here is that, and this is what I wanted to mention to you guys, I see a lot of similarities with Bitcoin and the price of like gold through this. I mean, what's interesting is actually the similarities are quite shocking. What I did and what I really wanted to post and point out to you guys was I thought it was interesting looking historically that they actually printed the high price of gold here through this cycle into the new year. Remember, we were talking about the first 2 weeks, January barometer kind of idea. In essence, what this basically said was, you know, oh my God, this is really, really disastrous, to, okay, maybe it's not going to be so bad. And ultimately, if you look at gold prices through the entire year, it was like, oh my God, this is a disaster. Okay, maybe it's not going to be so bad. So that's what I'm kind of thinking we might see here on Bitcoin here heading into the new year. Technically speaking, and I thought this was really interesting, so we'll hop on over to Bitcoin talk now. I'm sure a lot of people are like, is this guy going to talk about Bitcoin here? What the fuck? But we head over to Bitcoin, and a couple things jump out at me. So first and foremost, we just had the big sort of buy the rumor, sell the news event, and we've been waiting for this forever. CME event. Oh God, when are we going to get to the damn CME event? We've been talking about this ad nauseum. Now, keep in mind, guys, you know, like just back in the summertime, you know, who was it? It was Roham. Oh, has anybody seen Roham? I guess he's probably away today. He was, you know, his buddy worked at Goldman Sachs and told us, oh, well, I guess we probably should buy Bitcoins at $3,000. You guys all remember that? I think that was right here. So, you know, I can't believe that. It's only 6 months ago, eh? Isn't that incredible? Anyway, long and short of it here, boom, up goes price. And what was really interesting about these dips is that they were pretty much 38.2s along the way. And it's just such a really good, simple anecdote, simple tool, keep yourself honest, tool to just measure the health or strength of the trend. I want to make sure I have the right stay on here. Okay, that's that one. So as we were breaking the new highs and into CME event, and basically this is what we talk about Monday to Friday in our daily briefs, we just simply pulled up this chart and said, everybody should be fully cognizant that the market could easily pull back to 12,000. And I remember we were sitting up here at like 16, 17, 18,000. And people are going, 12,000? Are you serious? Holy fuck me. Jeez, are you serious? And boom. You guys now, of course, in hindsight, you can see how powerful this level is. I think it's really important too, and I was noticing this sentiment within the Bitcoin community as we were getting down around this 38.2 was starting to get pretty palatable on the negative side. I put out tweets and stuff recently saying, well, you know, maybe we got a trading range, probably have to trade back up into the top end of the range to sort of test it out. And people just on Twitter were just like, oh, well, I think we're going to 8,000. Not even a debate, just, well, we're going to 8,000. It was just like, whoa, wait a minute. Things are getting a little too heavy on the bear side here. It doesn't surprise me that we had this kickback right out of the gate following the 38.2 test. Bang! Right up against Mountain Man. Smackaroony. And you also notice, too, that it's right up against this weekly candle peak as well. So we, in essence, all the Mountain Man traders, they basically just got their level. And in our daily briefs, we were joking about how Brian had his order sitting here and how they literally, those guys on Tether, they literally took the Tether price to 6 cents within my level and then wouldn't give me a fill. 6 cents, fuckers. They literally saw my order, went right up underneath that and said, nah, to hell with you. Well, what can you do? Anyway, the point of the matter here is, I think for the time being, 38.2 is doing its job. This is what it's supposed to do, and this is why affectionately on the site the gentleman's name, and he's one hell of a sharp fucking New York. I think he trades on the New York Merc. But he runs a program, and we should give him a shout out just in case you guys are interested. Google it. Intuitive Development for Traders. Gentleman's name is Ray Burchett. And he used to always talk to us about 38.2 and the significance of waiting for it to resolve. On the site, we've given him the cute name Ray Barbecue. Ray's Barbecue. So I apologize, Mr. Burchett, if you do hear this. I doubt he'll ever hear this. But if you do hear videos of me and I accidentally call you Ray Barbecue, it's not an insult to you, sir. Anyway, Mr. Ray Barbecue did his job and in essence basically stopped the slide. Now, our simple rule of thumb here is we don't know whether this is still a bull. We don't know whether it's a bear. But our job now is to just simply let this 38.2 resolve. And on balance, what we usually see happen if this is actually a top is this is in essence a trading range unto itself, there and there. And 70 to 80% of the time, the market will simply play in this range a bit. The interesting thing here is we can't really decide whether this is a bull or whether it's a bear until we let this consolidate a bit and then sort of tip its hat. How does it tip its hat? If we get market structure, and ideally for a trade setup, I would love to see something like that come in. That's like trades presented to you on a silver platter. Of course, you know, we live traders' life. Very rarely do we get them on a silver platter, but they do happen. The bull side, of course, would be exact opposite. Get a nice little pull down in here. You know, I run this trading model called the bot, and the bot simply just looks for 3 higher lows. And then, you know, maybe this is setting up for a massive repricing of the range higher. And if we start getting structural signals that get us going on the long side, bullish, well, then we've got our levels working. But the point of the matter here is we have to let this resolve first. So that's sort of the bigger picture, higher time frame perspective right now. And frankly speaking, I have no idea what's going to happen. Nobody does. All right. It's a trader's life. Anybody that tells you, you know, I pity the fools, you know, and it sucks because it's a trader's life. You don't want to make fun of people. But I pity the people that basically called tops here at $2,000, $3,000 and that are looking at this going, oh my God, I can't believe, you know, this is, if anything, one of the main reasons why I really like to run this little old lady approach to portfolio management, where you just don't call tops. It's not your business to call tops. If the market runs out of steam and starts breaking down, the irony of it all is that all of these fills that we got filled in on the way up, we're going to be looking to reload in our green boxes here. Just rinse and repeat. It's interesting how this level here, her order has not been filled here, because when we go down to lower time frames, you notice that when Bitcoin likes to break out, here's probably a really good example. Bitcoin does like to break out and then give like a head fake crash. It loves to do that. So keep that in mind, all you people who are interested in trading Bitcoin. So here, for example, we had a rally up and then, right? I've seen this do it happen a few times. I don't know whether I can find them just off the top of my head here. Yeah, probably not off this weekly chart. Probably see it better on the dailies. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that if we start going down to the lower time frame charts, which is the one I want to show you. Here we are. And we look at something like Phoenix. I actually can start to make the case for harmonic patterns starting to develop here, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's a sell signal unto itself. Harmonic patterns for harmonic traders are nothing more than potential trade location. PRZ equals stands for potential reversal zone. So, obey the harmonic pattern if it develops. And then once you're at that level, that's when you want to look at your momentum indicators for signs of divergence. You want to look for structure, candlestick patterns, M's, W's, heads and shoulders, triangles, whatever. But what I noticed here, and this is going to be an interesting one, of course, because Bitcoin is so schizophrenic. Which exchange are you looking at? Which market? Who's driving the bus? I'm looking at Phoenix here. Is Stamp driving the bus? Whatever. But if we just look at this from a very purely harmonic perspective, I got to tell you guys, that's a pretty damn, to me, that's a pretty damn well-defined Gartley pattern. And the fact that we rallied right up to here, 61.8 fib would be a perfect Gartley tag, and we came up to 60.8. Does that negate the Gartley pattern? I don't know. I know true Gartley aficionados need this to be exactly 61.8 for them to be happy. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, Kevin. The problem with what's a typo, mine or his? Yeah. Well, is this a typo? Maybe these are wrong. Look at that. See, then it's damn charts. So now it says 63. Oh God. So a Gartley aficionados, they say this has to be exactly 61.8. So now we could argue that now it's errored to what, 1.2% to the upside there, right? I was really interested when I watched this deep test here, and then bang, bang, look at this beautiful railroad tracks trying to form here. And I noticed the railroad tracks trying to form right in these tails, which kind of tells me that somebody is very, very interested in this level right here, right? And that's, what is that, 12,300 or so, 12,400 area on Phoenix. I don't know what it is, but that is a pretty important level. Now, this inside bar reversal potential railroad tracks, it will only fire if we finish today and then go up through this high. So the fact that we have this railroad tracksy type pattern right in a reload zone doesn't help the bearish scenario here. This is actually a pretty damn powerful reversal here. Yeah, well, and that's in essence the inside bar reversal there, right? So Wayne says, well, wouldn't that be a fractal? And it would, right? So boom, boom, boom. Let's see how we finish today. First and foremost, it's only 11:30. We still got 5 more hours. The Asians might wake up and they just dump this thing right out of the gate and into the daily bar close. This potential railroad tracks type pattern just totally craps out. And if we look at the hourly chart, you can see we're right up against 200 SMA here on things like OKCoin. We're right at the POC. And you could argue that if we looked at things like just off of this range in particular, we're probably at like reload short zones. See that right in there? Looks like there might be some cheeky little gap action that could be filled in here. You see that, Wayne? Look at that gap fill right there. So, and it was interesting because this morning, I don't know whether he's around, but, our resident bear, I think he's in the jungles of Kathmandu right at the moment. But our resident bear was actually stepping up, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he shorted this. Is he around here today? Bear, are you here? No, it's not here. So it doesn't surprise me that we've run into resistance here. It sucks. I mean, I want to see Bitcoin go up, rah, rah, bull, right? But it doesn't really surprise me that they stepped up and stopped the bull in its tracks right off of that gap level. Did I put that on there? What the hell was that? Oh, it's just that little line right there. So, let's see how the Asians wake up today. Let's see what kind of mood they're in. I suppose one could argue, you can see, and I thought this was really interesting. This was so interesting to me. Remember, I had said off of this Phoenix chart, somebody was really interested in this level, eh? So much so that they printed these candle body. I love when I see this on big, thick candles like this. This tells me that somebody really wants a floor in price there. And if anything, if you're hunting trade location, if you can somehow sneak in these tails, that's a sick, sick trade location. So with that in mind, remember we looked at the OK coin chart a moment ago. I actually tweeted this out this morning because I was so shocked by it. Do you see? And this is such a, here is the railroad tracks concept again. So the market left this big old honking tail here. And the question was, how the hell are they going to, this is a V bottom. Are they going to leave this unresolved? There's a problem with this. Now, the interesting thing, if you drew a reload zone off of just this range here, you notice that the reload zone, especially 78.6, can you see how it lines up nicely off of these candle bodies? So trades within these tails, sick level, just like what I talked about before, right? So I looked at price action and I saw bang, bang. They tried to railroad tracks it and tried to recapture this trend line. Didn't quite catch because I think they really wanted to go after this level. Now, when I woke up this morning and I saw this reversal right off of this key level, and wow, what a beautiful example. There, can you see that fractal there, Wing? Just the most sickest fractal. Bang, bang. This is like a 5-bar one, eh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What a reversal. And now notice not much tail. Talk about a floor, eh? So and as I had said before, when I was listening to sort of the Twitter chatter and when I was listening to even the commentary, just sort of the sentiment within our community, people were feeling pretty damn sanguine. And what a shock, the market goes and puts in a bottom. It drives you crazy. And as soon as everybody gets all bullish, they're probably going to ramp it up into this RLZ short and the market will top out. So it is interesting when we look at these bigger charts. This is that OK coin. Pretty big fight going on here. I don't know whether the fight is done, but remember we talked about that Phoenix chart and those key lows. This was that sort of firm candle body close reversal off this level. There is a heck of a lot of interest in doing business right down in here. I don't think the bull's just done yet. Now, if we go over and look at Stamp, and this is sort of the chart that I've been posting in the site a lot, especially when I saw this yesterday. I mean, I don't know whether we'll get to it today because I've been talking so much here. But we've just been selling so many altcoins. I mean, I can't believe, into like early December, I got my Bitcoin stacked down to about, I don't know, 1, 2 Bitcoin. And I was kind of like, maybe I should lighten up on the buying. And we've literally booked probably about, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 Bitcoins in profits, just banging out doubles here. So now my Bitcoin balance has gone right back up, and I'm feverishly trying to figure out ways to sell Bitcoins. What a crazy situation this is. And all site members know that I have a selling program going, and I still do have more spoon feed orders. So I actually would like to see this Gartley. Now, if this isn't a Gartley, there is also the potential of the bat. And I had made reference earlier, maybe something along the, I don't know, where the hell's 113? Geez, I guess it might come quicker. Something like that. That's obviously too quick. Might be 127. Where's our cheat sheet? If we did, what did that say? It said 63. So what are we talking here? Yeah, it's a funny one. That's 63, right? So, if it was 38.2, 250%, so it was under that 60, I could understand that. I could also understand alt bad if we were like 38.2. We did a funny one here though, 61. It wasn't quite like crab. So I'm on the fence. This is a tough one. The image that it does most look like is this Gardley up here, but like I said, 61.8. If it went to 63, I don't know how you interpret that. It's a tough one. But nonetheless, you can see the final objective of the Gardley is that 78.6. So I am, at the very least, looking for a stab up into these RLZ areas. And I have been all through here. But I have also seen too, and that's why it's really important that we call this the PRZ. So we're going to watch how price behaves. Is this move on the W on a divergence, right? Do we have lower momentum readings? I don't know whether I don't think I have momentum on here. And then of course, do we get maybe a nice shooting star? Do we get an empire? Do we get an inside bar? Maybe a gravestone doji? Do we get an empire? Right? We're just going to have to watch how price behaves through here. Now, and this is where, if you do see him on the site, this is where we have to grab Steven and really own him. So, Steven, if you're watching this later, we are just going to blitz the crap out of you, because Steven has done just some beautiful work with the harmonic time zones. And he did even some statistical studies of what happens when harmonic patterns develop inside appropriate time frame windows and outside. I'm not going to go into the time zone study here today, but you definitely know, and if you do see him on the site, you definitely know that I'm going to be asking him for that. This is where a guy like Steven really pays dividends to know, and befriend a guy like him. So we're going to really watch how we behave through here, right? Understand that Brian is going to be spoon feeding some of his ridiculous recent gains, just as prudent portfolio management. I might even entertain the idea of strapping on shorts and just simply risking to new highs on things like OKCoin. Julian, he's going to be all over the MEX market, hunting his RSI setups, etc. That's not the case right now. And in fact, maybe probably a good point. I was talking about this a bit earlier. Heading into the weekend, do you guys remember this? I don't know whether any of you guys remember this. You remember I had posted these trend line charts and this megaphone? Do you remember? I think it was on Thursday or Friday's video. I literally drew this line. I said, guys, this is pretty much what I'm expecting to happen over the weekend. Do you remember that? Anybody validate that? I haven't moved this line since I did that study. And in essence, this is still my expectation. Obviously, it looks like we're not going to quite meet my sort of time frame expectations. Looks like this is drawn out a little bit more. But believe it or not, and this is the cool application of my little sort of interpretation of RSI, I love to see two W's come in on the RSI to set up the trade. The first W, of course, you can see comes in on that divergence, right? So basically at this point, boom, boom, right here, you can see that the market is finally in potential divergence. You want to let this potential divergence just simply say that, yes, the down move is over. That gets confirmed here. Boom, the down move is over. Now you want to wait for the next W, and in this particular case, you can see the initial signal came in here. I was okay with that, but it was interesting to see how the market came back down against its original bottom and put in another W right here, and boom. So I could actually argue from a very strictly sort of momentum perspective that you actually got a half decent momentum signal to go long through here. As well, too, I noticed, and if we move back the profile up to here when we were first studying this, that if we accepted above this level, and I remember talking about this in the lounge yesterday, that in essence, the Hogue value play starts kicking in, where in essence, and really the best way to do this is just to simply study, it's going to take too much work. I won't go into it today. But just simply study the distribution of the volume over here. At this point yesterday, right, when we were here, I think I did this through the whole range, something along those lines. Looking at the distribution of the volume from up here right down to here, you can see how we were trying to accept back into value. TradingView's changed the colors of value here, so it's a little screwy now. It's harder to see. So Hoag's rule just simply says if we accept back into value 80% of the time, we should go back up and test value high. So, here we are now, and I found it very interesting how that test of value high basically is a 2-to-1 off of taking the double bottom here. That didn't surprise me. That often happens, where in essence, this is almost like a manufactured trade. And as well, too, if we did do that range expansion, test the top of value here. Now, it's interesting how if we just change the profile here, this is why it's a good idea to use the fixed profile tool. If you're going to do things like Hoag's value play on floating assets like this. But it is interesting, too, how there was that value high, and there is the top of the megaphone. So in essence, all this is saying is a test of the top of this trend line here, which is just basically off of these two previous peaks. That's going to give us a nice test of this top end of the range. That's going to give us our target hit. So that really, it wouldn't be shocking if that happens. At the same time, too, our momentum model is still pointing up. I don't see any signs of down. We'll know that this long trade is done if we see an M come in here. And that'll be our first signal, very much like this W was our first signal that the down move is over. And then if we get a second M come in, well, that's going to tell us that we have a new short momentum trade working. So for the time being, things are still looking up, and really I think it's just slow and steady there. Okay. Oh boy, that was a mouthful. What do you think, guys? Did I help you understand what I'm thinking and looking for on Bitcoin here? How about you over on, hey, Jamie King? Is that my upside down picture, Australia Jamie King? Or is that a different Jamie King? Anyway, JK. Didn't we used to call you JK? Now we have to wait 10 seconds for the YouTube delay. Waiting. Anyway, I think that's somebody I haven't seen for quite a while. Are you in the call here, Jamie? No? All right. Anyway. This is English Jamie. Oh, that's my runner. Is that my runner, Jamie? She's good. Isn't that weird how we have two Jamie Kings? All right. Anyway, yeah, I haven't seen you around either, dude. I hope you're doing okay. And actually, you're an alumni now, right? Yeah, I know you're on YouTube over there. I'm looking at you. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, now I know who you are. Okay, enough's enough. I don't know. We can talk a little bit altcoin here. I do have to get going here for Liam pretty soon, but I just, Bitcoin, that was such a big conversation that I knew it was going to take some time to have that with you guys. Diversification purposes, I have been buying a bit of gold here recently. I think gold's looking really interesting here. We initiated a buy program, bought 38.2, bought 61.8, bought 78.6. We had one more stink bid working off of the lows here. Didn't get that filled. So now I'm kind of thinking there's a gap right here. So a nice little pull into these lows, and I think I might go strap on that last quarter of our purchase order that I'm trying to buy some gold on. Primarily, though, the irony of it all is that really all we've been doing recently is selling. I mean, it's insane. And of course, the pot coins, the pot coins are the pot coins are the pot coins, right? This is nuts. Look how many pot coin sales we got off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just, here over the past couple of days. And the only other sell that we got here is fun. That's cute, eh? Fun. And, all the people that used to laugh and make fun of me of $2.50 trades. Well, now I can officially say to you, and I don't care what you say, YouTube, all those people that used to make fun of me, fuck you. Oh, this is a blast. So much fun. I've been doing a lot of selling, right? That's all I've been doing. Just a lot of taking profits. Here's a good, hey, Dav, do you see that this pound the table, actually it worked out after all. So even if somebody had taken my pound the table here as an anti-nibble, yeah, it worked. Oh, you like that one, Andrew? Anyway, so here's an example, and I was actually kind of half expecting that I might get a fill here today. As you can, and actually what's so cool about the way Julian set me up here, I'm working with this supercomputer, so I'm following like 20 million tabs all simultaneously. Let's go find that sheet. Where is it? It's one of these. Not that one. That one? Oh, not that one. That one. Yeah, that one. So maybe we'll just take a little quick walk down altcoin lane. As you said, Popcoin's doing really, really well for us here. Here's some recent sells we've been doing on Cannabis Coin, getting off some sells on doubles there, posting them in the lounge and for site people, of course. Nothing really to it. It's actually interesting. Bitcoin Gold, I was kind of looking for some sort of turn here, but it doesn't look like she's quite ready to go yet. And also watching Bitcoin Cash here. Remember we had talked a little bit about how there was some interesting action down in here. I had, when Bitcoin started to fall out of bed there the other day, I had suggested that maybe we could do a trade, but as soon as we broke these lows, I just walked away and tweeted about it. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. I was like, okay, well, maybe that was a good decision just walking away then. Holy Jesus, what the hell are they doing? And then, okay, how ironic that it's just basically sitting right at those levels right now. I don't know. I mean, I don't, and if you like Roger Ver, great, Roger. I thought it was really amusing how CNBC now has become crypto experts, and they were saying, well, the whole reason why we like Bitcoin is the fact that nobody's in control of it. And, Mr. Ver made quite a sales pitch about how transaction speeds and efficiency are far better with Bitcoin Cash, but he forgot to mention that it's highly centralized. So as a result, I thought it was really interesting to watch the finagling on this. My message when I just walked away from this trade was, I'm going to let other people fight this fight. I don't even want to have a part of it. We've got a bit of it on the books just because diversification purposes. I like to have a little bit of everything. But the trade that I strapped on here, I immediately just blew it out. So just an FYI for everybody. Thought this was really a good example of our demon gap hunters, especially people on Twitter. We've been having a lot of fun with these gaps. ZCL, it was really interesting to watch the rally off the bottom and watch everybody just go absolutely insanely bullish. And then literally as the market rallied up into this gap, it was just stopped on a dime. Could this market work its way higher? Sure, market will do any old damn thing it wants. But you have to respect the fact that this gap was actually a pretty important technical level. I thought it was really interesting because if you look at our buddy Ripple, and what is it about this damn Ripple? Everybody on the internet for some reason is all excited about this thing. And I look at it and go, what the fuck? I don't get it, people. I'm missing something here. I mean, it's just another coin. You can clearly see the trading range. What I thought was so cool about this, and I think I even did a write-up on this, didn't I? Where is it? One of these. There it is there. I thought I did a full write-up on this. Posted in the lounge and everything, didn't I? So many charts, man's gonna explode. Well, I guess we'll just go off of this. Yeah, we'll do it from scratch. Couple things that jump out at me if we do a good old Fibbo off of this low right back up to this high. We talk about wicks and tails like to be eaten and candle bodies. This obviously is a really important level right up there. You can make like a note of it on your charts. Doink. You guys have probably, especially all you YouTubers, you've probably heard me once or twice talk about this zone as being important. John Penn. Do I know John Penn? All clear. Schmonkweed. John Penn? What do we call this zone right here? Yeah, I don't know whether I know John Penn. Do I know John Penn? John Penn. John Penn? John Penn. John Penn. I'm gonna sit here just saying your name over and over again until you answer. If he's not even watching anymore. This could be an interesting video. John Penn. John Penn? Hey, somebody else on YouTube just types in, it's a goddamn selling zone. Can you move on, please? Anyway, just having fun. Thank you, JD, whoever that is. There's a gap at 24 BTC. Oh, right on. All right, so the point here is that if we go and look at the charts of Ripple, I thought this was fascinating because lo and behold, look at what we have sitting right here. Doink. So I know a lot of people on Twitter and stuff were kind of like, Brian, I think Brian's lost it. Brian's gone crazy because I've been having a lot of fun just posting these tweets. I think is what I did. One of these silly things. Where is it here? Yes, the crypto gap hunter. We've discovered a new class of crypto trader. Is Mr. 91.4 here? Are you here? There you are. You're sitting cross-legged, aren't you? Isn't that you? There's Mr. 91.4. What are you holding there? Are you holding a gap? Camera. Oh, okay. Can you hold a gap? Is that physically possible? Anyway, oh, okay, I get. Does that camera come with a special filter? Wouldn't that be? Yeah, you got to zoom in. I bet. Eh? Anyway, so the point of the matter here is just yet another good example of another way to trade. I'm actually quite surprised that more people don't understand this simple concept. Man, it's weird. In our education program, I actually show students a trading manual that was written like 40 years ago. Jeez, I can't believe it's that long. 40 fucking years. Jesus. On how to trade with gaps. But it's weird. Nobody talks about it these days. I don't know why. So anyway, good example where it's not necessarily that you're going to take the trade, but we do need to. Whoops, am I connected anymore? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Come in. Oh, I'm here. Shane, it must be just you. You must have those soap bubbles in your ears. All right. So I don't know whether you're going to necessarily put on a short here. You can clearly see a lot of violence around this event. But looking back at this gap, it shouldn't surprise us to see price actually backed off here. And of course, half of the reason why I was interested in this thing to begin with was they basically left a Grand Canyon of a gap right here. And this, and if anything, for the public, new people to trading, you're kind of like you're new to this space. This is actually a really interesting story of sort of capitalism. Because this event, how do you explain this event? Well, this is what we call a rage quit, where basically one of the lead developers, hold on. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Where one of the lead developers just basically said, I hate you all. I'm going to dump everything. Get out. Hey, John Penn answered. Oh, I can't say that, Charlie. Charlie, you're going to get me into trouble. Anyway, the point of the matter here is as capitalists, right? This was a decision based on emotion. And of course, does emotional decisions, do they often equate to good financial decisions? No. If anything, this is a really good example where you let the guy have his emotional response and then you just let the dust settle. Now, on this emotional response and trading back against these lows, what do you think Brian's going to be doing? I mean, you guys on YouTube, you should have seen this enough by now. Hopefully you just got to understand, a guy like Brian, if I see a move like this back against these lows, I'm just going to go buy this. Even if especially considering the gap, if I just threw $1 at this thing and that's at like 50,000, and the market just comes back and fills in the gap, forget all this nonsense, but the market just comes back and fills in the gap, that's 500,000. So what you're telling me here is, if I put $1 into this idea against these original lows, I can get $10 back just on a checking of this guy's emotional response. Is that a risk as a guy who wants to make money from trading? Is that a risk I should consider? Every fucking day of the week, man. Even if it's just like a coin toss. Oh, cool, Shane. Good to see you got your head on straight. Even if it's a coin toss, if I can make $10 because it comes up heads, but I lose $1 if it comes up tails, I got to take that bet every day of the week. I just have to. I have no choice. The great part about crypto is, I'm not saying this is the top. Anybody ever seen the Ethereum's chart when it came out of the gate, how it acted, and where it is relative to how it acted out of the gate? It's really not a lot of difference with any of this shit. That's the irony of it all. How about Dash? You want to pull up a Dash chart? See what it looks like? Go back and look at how it looked when it came out of the gate. So I'm not going to call tops, don't get me wrong, but when you see this monstrous hole in the charts here, I think you have to respect what's going on. And for Pete's sakes, people, if you didn't take some profits on the way up here, well, I don't have any empathy for you at all. You're just a greedy bastard. That's all you are. All right. Nobody liked that one, eh? All right, fine. All right. So I'm doing a lot of this, just slowly spoon feeding the market as we work higher. And the irony of it all, guys, is this is actually the crappy season. Like a name like this, if you didn't get in on this, for God's sakes, don't chase this now. Just wherever the ultimate top comes in, pull up your little Fibonacci tool. And do you guys notice? If the top is here and we pull back here, who in the lounge can tell me this just so happens to be a W? If you happen to see a W that lines up with a 78.6 fib, do we give that a particular name? No, actually, we have a specific setup for it, JF. Yeah. So, and actually, Mr. Kavarkinator's here. What do you think, Kavarkinator? Would you take a long off of that level? And I really like the fact that you've got these lows here defending you, and you've got these lows here defending you. I mean, this is looking like a pretty good trade location. So, and what's interesting, because I always joke, and I was even joking in the lounge this morning, I love making that reference back to the middle of February. It's dark, it's cold, it's raining here in Vancouver, probably snowing, everywhere else in North America. Above the, what is this? Is it the 38th parallel? Is that what separates the North and the South in the States? I think it's called the 38th parallel. I can't remember. Anyway. And that's actually a good question. Kevin, was it snowing in New Mexico last February? Does it snow in New Mexico? I know there's mountains there, isn't there? Anyway, it's kind of off topic, sorry. The point of the matter here is, I think now we're going to head into back to hunting phase. We've just gone through what I would consider the dead cat bounce phase. And I think now we have to go into, I don't know where these tops are. Maybe I get another sell half on a double over here. I'd love that. That'd send music to my ears. But, wherever this ultimate top comes in, the interesting thing is watch how the fibs, watch how much movement they have, even if I go all the way up here. You notice? This fib level didn't move that much, did it? All right. So anyway you shake it, don't chase these names as they're moving up here, but you just have to simply be patient and disciplined and wait for the dip. Usually February, March, we get a nice little dip in here, and that's going to set up another buying window. And like I said, I got a ton of Bitcoin now. So what's ironic is I remember at the, whoops, I got to talk to Julian here. So I think we're going to have to wrap this up. He's actually sending me PMs. All right, so SPR, yeah, we should talk a little bit about that. Why don't we talk about SPR? It's if anything, it's a, oh, look at that. Now we're about 14,000 on good old Buckcoin. Look at this. Look at, here's just another one of these pot coins. Isn't this crazy? 49th parallel. Is that what it is? Oh, okay. You know, for God's sakes, don't chase this stuff up here. Please, people, don't chase. Good example here. I mean, there's a couple really good things about this. Number one, of course, who doesn't like making money? I mean, I can't complain with this. But also, too, what's really cool about this is Cryptopia is finally coming alive. Woohoo! And there was another one, the Bitcoin Babes chart. You remember Bitcoin Babe? What the hell is the damn symbol again? It's finally coming back to life, and this is one reason why I like to never really sell anything. Look at Julian. Can somebody go into the lounge and just politely tell Julian that Brian's in midstream? Don't stop him now, because I don't want to stop and respond to him, because then I'm going to lose my inertia here. Thank you, Joshua. That's good. Perfect. Where are we here? MZC. I swear, I'm liking this Joshua guy more and more every day. Look at that cute little chart. What do you think? Is there any money to be made on something like that? I don't know whether it's ready to go or not, but, you know, M's and W's against previous lows. It's nice to see. No, there's no money to be made on this. Is that what you're saying, Benjamin? Anyway, I'm not endorsing the idea, but I was very encouraged to see that these guys are finally starting to wake up. All right, here's another one, Adam. And you guys see these things starting to wake up. Do you remember the Bitcoin Babe? You don't remember Bitcoin Babe? I think she did like all of one or two shows with us. So Adam right here, you can see that he's getting ready to go here. There's a bunch of these that are just sitting there. ORB, I think he's getting ready to go. So, well, you know, we'll know. Oh, not yet. Actually, this might actually be backing up into a half decent buying window. There is a problem here if you have your coin is only listed on Cryptopia. That's a bit dangerous. So please be careful trading Cryptopia, okay? WDC, is that a good looking one? Oh, very nice. Yeah, Jesus Christ, there's a ton of money to be made here. Who's this? Center, you son of a bitch. You better make a pile of money on this thing, and then when I head over there, you're buying drinks. There's probably, I mean, what is this? This is 212. If we, you know, I don't know when these guys get their act together, but can you see this big old hole, right? Demon Gap Hunters. I can see Joshua's just looking at that, just licking his chops, eh? What is that? That's 44.21. That's 20x from where we are. I'm not saying it's going there tomorrow. Not saying that at all. But shouldn't surprise you to see April, May, June, July, face rip nonsense. So, you know, just be prepared and don't be shocked. Sometimes I wake up and I look at my Yobik account, or I, you know, I remember we had that happen on that. What was that one recently? Unit, right? You wake up on one day and on Yobit, the damn thing's bid right here, and you're like, fucking hit that goddamn bid. Just, you know, play from a position of strength. So center, like the idea. If I do any selling, I don't have any Bitcoin on Cryptopia, so if I do any selling and I generate some, I think I probably actually want to go and buy some of that. So, oh wait, is ARK still alive? I didn't think ARK made it. Oh yeah, there it is, ARK. Is this thing still alive? Or is this a different story? Do you guys remember this? Is this Moby's? That's not Moby guy, is it? Was that Arc? I can't remember. Arch. Oh, that was slightly different, eh? Oh, that's a different one. Okay, well, forget it. Okay, let's finish off. A lot of people were asking you about SPR. I thought that was a really cool story there. And so I just wanted to walk you through it. So, once upon a time in a land far, far away. Hopefully everybody can understand. I mean, a couple things should jump out of us. Let's keep everything inside of us, please. Something should jump out at us. Do you think it's a half decent idea that when this thing comes back down against this bottom end of the range to go buy some of this? Anyone? The weird thing about this space is, again, given the insane volatility, and the cool part about it, geez, have we seen this before? No. Does everybody see where Joshua is probably got his target set? That's a lot of money, isn't it? And I do remember somebody in the lounge this morning was like, Brian, this thing's going to fucking go 10x. Okay, maybe. I suppose that is a definite possibility. I wonder, though, especially right in the short term, I just wonder whether this structural level, can you see how important this level is here? This old high and these old lows. And again, this high here. I just wonder whether this is going to be a bit of traffic in here. And when I looked at the chart this morning, how can we do this? I don't know whether we're ready to go and take all of this back right away. So I looked at this and I said, okay, there was obviously some sort of rage quit, and that's why I went down to the 4 hour. And I just simply said, okay, this was the big dump and this was the reaction. There were people that were buyers through here. Somebody thought that this thing was good, and then this subsequent dump, which really just sort of broke the back of the market. And if we look at the ZCL, it did somewhat the same thing as well. So looking at this price chart and considering these significant horizontal resistance levels, I start asking, well, maybe this is the trading range. Where, this candle wick here, there's going to be a lot of trapped bulls that would just love to get out. And of course, this is the original structural level of the fail. So my hunch is there's probably a hell of a lot of resistance up in this area. And when I did the fib off of this high back down to these recent lows, some levels really started jumping out at me. So first and foremost, right, we can see where the reload short zone is. All these guys, and let's see where we do this. All the guys that were like, okay, well, I'll take a chance. I'll buy this. Oh, no, it's still okay. Oh, fuck, I'm toast, right? All those guys, this is their release mechanism. And I also noticed, too, that in this event window, there is a juicy gap in here, too. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. I thought there was. Oh, no. It's pretty clean. Oh, that's good. Okay, I did notice, though, this. And notice, look at this, a couple times. Tried to get it in, whacked. Tried to get it in, whacked. Opened up, tried to get it in, see you later. And then notice this one. Up, in, nope, no good. There is a huge resistance level developing now here. And there is that 61.8. So we might get like one of these kind of like moon shots to tag mountain into these structural fail levels But, you know, kind of like our demon gap hunter images we showed on ZCL and XRP and stuff. My hunch is this is the area that we need to see a candle body fill before we can actually believe that this level has been retaken in earnest. So where does that set up now? So we look at recent price action. There's the bottom, right? And the real shark traders, you could either buy this double bottom, or you could be sharking and reload zoning off of that bottom, or you could wait for this double bottom. But I don't care. Any way you slice it, this sort of 2,800 to 3,100, that's the level if you wanted to be long, right? You're like a shark trader, I'm the man. So this is the number we should actually keep in mind. And remember that these guys, they absolutely love to get free positions on. So where do you think it's most likely that this thing's going to stop initially? If we know that they're long from about 25, 26, whatever, 100 in that area, does it make sense that if we get up into the 5,000 area, you're probably going to see people shilling coin? So where is that? That's up into this. Boom. All of these guys they're now getting paid. Does that make sense? It should. Usually following that kind of event, we have to have some cleanup. Now, keep in mind, if we just go off of this range from this week wicks high, there's 38.2, Mr. Ray Barbecue, right into that wick. There's the gap. There's this old tail. Do you see Mr. Barbecue here sitting at 11,000? So we can't even really call this a bull until this level has been resolved. It's interesting how the market backed off. Do you see following the back off? Look at this beautiful structure that came in here. On this initial burst, if you need to learn how the bot works, right, we are going to hunt continuation, trend continuation, following the market structure bottom. Does this make sense, guys? How about you guys over on YouTube? SPR is dead. Well, I don't think it's dead. It looks to me like it's pretty damn alive here. So, big structural bull, can't chase, let it consolidate. Comes back at least to 33, but no more than 66. I now want to see at least one low, two lows. This one's a bit cheeky. I mean, you could have, Wayne says you could have front run this by getting in here. If you wanted to, I wouldn't fault you for it. It would be a tough trade, though. In essence, you're buying the breakout through here. Not bad. Long and short of it here is I think the market validated this level with the bot setup. I mean, I see this time and time again, and this is really how the bot really wants to work, is it wants to have the actual market validate the level. And I mean, maybe what I should say here, MU Amran and Josh was saying it's definitely a scam coin. I'm not making any comment about the fundamental story here. Not making any comment whatsoever. This is all technical, okay? I'm doing both, President Fraz. I'm all over the place. You never know where I am. Oh, now I'm looking at Paul's chart he's posting in the lounge. Well, now Wayne's saying the coin isn't crappy enough for Kevin. I'm everywhere, man. I'm everywhere. Now I'm over in Slack. The only difference between the two is slightly different wheel style and front end styling. I swear, Julian's on a mission from God to get me into a goddamn car here. I swear. Okay. Point here is, if you had taken this bot setup, the bot rules say that if we have the 50% of this anticipated range hit, then you should move your stop to scratch. So had you taken this bot setup, the absolute worst thing that should happen to you right now is you simply walk away at scratch. I don't see this thing crapping out here. My hunch is it's probably going to do something like this. And you can see, even as we're speaking here, this thing might just blast off here. So, if we get to 10,376, I think you can start thinking about, if this thing just starts stalling out here and we start amming out, maybe I'll walk away with partial profits. But we don't have any kind of signs of that whatsoever right now. I think that the bot levels target, this 13K, notice, lines up right nicely with our demon gap finder, our crypto demon gap finder level right there. And that lines up nicely with Mr. Ray Barbecue and good old Gann's 50% rule. So the fact that we have this gap, this monstrous tail, the 50% level, Ray Barbecue, all lining up nicely with this bot level, leads me to believe that if I was trading this, I would like to be taking some profits up in here. That's my 2 cents. I can understand, because we looked at that higher time frame chart. I'm not saying that you should walk away from this. And if anything, if you were fortunate enough to sneak in and grab some down here, my attitude is you're spoon feeding the whole bloody way up. If you want to day trade this, we got a cute little setup that got you long here. But you got to understand, those swing traders, they are simply looking to make money from trading. Yeah, cup and handle, yeah, to a certain degree. I don't know whether I'm convinced about this this lip, but I could see what you're talking about, Kevin. That makes sense. So short term, I like this 13K. Could we get a nice little blast off up into reload zones here? Sure. I could see a massive amount of resistance at this previous horizontal resistance level and this wick, this tail. My hunch is that's probably a 38.2 off the entire range. Let's just go up there and I'll go like this and boom. Yeah, there we go. So 38.2, Mr. Barbecue. He's going to stop the bus coldly at 32,000. Which is basically your, what is that? That's basically your 10x off of the bottom. I don't know whether 10x from these levels is really doable. If I was trading this thing off the lower time frames, I would definitely be taking some profits in here, waiting for the next consolidation to set up the next trade. If I was nanny nibbling this, little old ladying this, I absolutely love the idea of being long, basically on a test of these previous lows and spoon feeding as we work our way up. And ultimately, what a surprise. We'll finish off the video with a reference to this guy. It seems only appropriate. Who can tell me what we call this level? Boom. So you can see off the higher time frames, we got good old Mountain Man sitting right at a demon crypto gap hunter level. What do you think? That looks pretty solid, eh? So there's some levels for you to consider going forward. Okay, I think we'll probably leave it at that for today. Julian needs me. I will talk to you later. Sorry, Andrew. I've been blabbing away here for an hour or two. I feel like calling it a day. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation over there on YouTube. And site members, of course, will pick the ball up first thing tomorrow morning and do it all again. Have yourselves a great New Year's, everyone. Happy New Year if you've already had it happen for you. For me, I will be celebrating in about 11 and a half hours. And Shane's going to have me dressed in a bikini. Oh, boy. Hope nobody has any cameras. Talk to you later, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.